mic. Okay, we're going to just do a quick test to make sure we don't hear any feedback. How are you on feedback now? Okay, great. Sounds like we have everybody in. We have one guest who's running late, which is fashionably late, signature late, however you want to call it. But we'll have Robert Tatum joining in. Artist late. There you go. He's coming in artist time. So we're going to get ready to start this evening, and there's a few things we want to kind of talk about first. Let's look at a few things that we have going on here at FinerWorks. So let me just get ready to see how this happens when I share my screen. And we're going to share screen here. Let's go to the window. Okay, so we've got kind of screen, share. And then let's talk about the promotion that we have going on right now, James, which is the 33% off.
So yeah, we get right now, because I was fashionably late as well. We got a special that went out on yesterday, spooky sale. Everyone can get 33% off the archival matte paper prints, archival linen paper prints, or the archival canvas paper prints. So fine art clay prints on those are archival line. All our fine art papers are archival, but these are we call it archival line because they're the title begins with the word archival of those papers. So those are 33% off, and that is until tomorrow at midnight. It's tomorrow midnight Central Time. So it's a good time to take advantage of that sale.
Use a promo code SPOOKY, SPOOKY, in
Not
your
EY,
car. Yeah.
I misspelled it.
So that'll be that on there. Is there anything else FinerWorks wise you want to mention before we start describing this?
We will be posting holiday ordering deadlines tomorrow. Probably via newsletter either tomorrow or the following day. It should go on social media by tomorrow and on our website as well. And last year we set the deadlines a little sooner than we had, previous Christmases. So it was our busiest Christmas season, but we were able to get orders out. We weren't as pressed for time to try to get those last minute orders out. So we're going to try to replicate that this year, I think, because we want most people to get their orders to them by Christmas. The exception to that might be with international orders. Timing on the shipment of international orders is very difficult, especially because they have to go through customs in many cases, and that can delay when an order actually gets to a recipient. And we see it all the time. We get an estimated delivery date of a such and such date, but customs holds it up for another week. So just kind of keep that in mind with your anything going outside of the U.S., whether you have us fulfill it or you're ordering it from outside the country yourself. And that includes, I believe, APOs, and those have to go via post office. Those typically arrive relatively close to schedule, so usually not as much problems with those.
Okay, and I think we still might have the music might still be running on here. So let me just check that really quick. And make sure we are open there. Thank you for letting us know. Yeah, I think we're getting a background there. Let's pause that out. Okay. All right, well, that's a lot of the FinerWorks stuff. Any countries that in particular, like Germany or anything like that is?
Well, right now we're not shipping to Germany.
Okay. Yeah.
I tell you that much. And we're trying to figure out this new law, which in Germany, which requires companies to register with Germany, get a special registration number, and then you pay a certain fee, and that is because of some sustainable Papers Act or something that they have in Germany, where we have to ensure that we're using recyclable or some environmental. Yeah, so we're still trying to figure that out. Hey, Robert.
Yeah, and we have Robert Tatum joining us.
And then, so once we get that resolved, then we'll be able to ship to Germany again. So
Great. I'm gonna just situate their camera there. Okay. Well, great. Well, let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen here, and kind of get on to.
Do you know Robert? Robert?
Yeah,
You know
I think
Lewis?
everybody's from San Antonio here, so we all kind of run in the same art circles and kind of know each other. Tonight's panel, James and Lewis actually a couple weeks ago just went to Print United Expo in Las Vegas. And James, being one of the co-founders here at FinerWorks, probably was inundated with a bunch of presentations of different products that we can print on and different printers. And
he went there to make sure that I didn't find any other vendors.
And how did that work, Lewis?
Why did you call it?
Yeah.
Las Vegas without it.
Last night, I was like, oh my God, I gotta go.
Yeah. It was like he was over my shoulder saying, "No, go this way, go this way."
He was like the girl. He was like the girlfriend in Vegas.
Yeah.
Hey, don't look there.
Where are you? You don't want to look at that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and while they were there, like I said, they had all these great products, and a lot of y'all have been, what do you call it? Commenting on things that you've wanted to see us print at FinerWorks here. There's a lot of customers that may have had to, I guess, go to other printers to get certain things done, like T-shirts. We've had customers that, I wish you'd print on T-shirts. And we're going to talk about some of the things that, James has looked at, but we want to hear from artists and photographers, or those watching, your input, what you guys need to have that would help you diversify your art. So that's where we have David and Robert in here, who have diversified their art in a lot of different. Robert, I know I've been his assistant for about 10 years now, going on 11 years, and
she needs a trophy.
And we have done T-shirts, we have done mugs, we've done, name it, anything that can be printed on. I think Robert has found it and been able to print on it and have his art on there. David has done public works, like all sorts of public art pieces, all throughout the United States. Because I remember when you drove a piece up to, was it Minnesota?
No,
Montana in the winter. Texas boys driving to Montana in the snow in the winter. It's just not good. But somebody's got to go do that install, and you don't want to have to pay out the money on it. So sometimes it's just better to let the artist do it, and they will find a way to get it there. And they will touch it up if anything happens on the way. So they come from different perspectives there too, but actually Robert's also been doing murals, and you've also had to do commercial art printing and stuff for different venues, from bars, restaurants, print T-shirt shops that needed your work and stuff. So we're going to get you guys to kind of lead that input on what y'all want next to print from FinerWorks. Robert's also a customer here at FinerWorks, so he knows what we already offer. And so he knows what else to ask for.
So are you going to talk on the subject of T-shirts for a minute? Or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So totally like your present. I know James is going to probably prick your brain a little bit on the T-shirt aspect here.
Because this is one of the products that we want to talk about. Because it is something that's asked about. And when I brought it up to many of the staff, showed them samples of what we acquired when we were at Print United, it was like I had to lock the doors to keep everyone out.
Yeah.
It was a lot of excitement.
A lot of artists here too.
Yeah, but I wasn't.
But we definitely want feedback as far as what it'd be a mistake for me to say not what the customers want, but I'm going to say what we want to know is what the artists are looking for, because they know what the customers are buying. And because we print for artists, we print for photographers, and so we want to know what the artists want. Because that, what the average consumer wants, they don't know the difference between one T-shirt and another. I don't. I just have to find T-shirts that I like.
They do. These are two things they're looking for. They do, and that they know a shitty shirt when they see it. If it's fitting weird and there's things on the side or whatever. So a decent shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as branding, not really. If the graphic is good, they don't really care that much. As long as it's a decent shirt. That you don't throw it in a wash and all of a sudden it's 6 inches too small. Those are cheap shirts from different countries that I will not mention because it will sound racist. However, there are some third world countries that do really good cotton, and so very good.
Yeah.
And so there's that. Is it okay that I give an opinion for a few minutes?
Yeah. We're here for your opinion.
Yeah.
I need a lot of T-shirts. Yeah. Okay. So I have 3 different silk screeners that I use personally, and that will supply me for my gallery, for retail, and the markup is good because I'm paying wholesale price and I get to mark it up. However, the conveniency of going through a procurement company that offers direct garment printing, and that's what you're talking about, right?
We're actually talking about something somewhat unique, and
we'll jump in. Did you bring the
I left it in my office.
Okay.
I'll go grab it.
Yeah, you can
Okay,
go grab
so
it.
I apologize. I was assuming that you're doing direct garment printing
it's-
one at a time.
It is a one-up type process.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm interested in the machinery that's involved
And
with
it's
that.
not dye sub either. So it's,
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, well now I'm really curious.
Yeah.
But I can still keep on this subject. I think that what I've experienced, what's important to me as an artist, and I'm picky, that we want our art to look good. There's I find that it's pretty consistent with what's out there, with the full color printing directly onto the shirt. And the wash is good. You always want to wash your shirts inside out. If there's any graphic on it, whether it's silk screen or direct garment, always wash your T-shirts inside out, people. You'll have 5 times the longevity of it. There's that. Procurement, I would say, is the most important thing. The turnaround. That's the customer on the other end is already sold on the graphic. If the shirt is decent, not real high end, but not real cheap. Okay, good. The colors are always going to be pretty much the same. It's going to look good. How fast do they get it? And the procurement of how that happens is important to us as artists. And that they can go to our website, order that shirt, and they're going to get it in a reasonable time. Nowadays people want shipping quick, so
Amazon?
7 to 9 days is okay. 14's kind of stretching it. Anything after that, they probably won't use you again.
Yeah,
that's just where we're at now. With everything being so quick.
Yeah.
So that timeline of the procurement and that the label is correct and the correct size is sent, because that's the difference between the companies of who's going to stand out and be consistent. There's a lot of inconsistency with that process.
a lot of variations, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and I've used 5 or 6. We have one right now that we're pretty happy with. The only thing is, as an artist from our end, it's very convenient that we don't have to have a stock.
Yeah.
Of the shirts and worrying about putting it together, putting it in a box, putting it at the label, get it shipped out, make sure it's the right name, maybe a little note to them, and then that it's the right size, all that. That time spent on that, we could be drawing something and making 3 times more the money than the small profit. It's a very small profit that we're making when a procurement company is doing.
Yeah.
So, of course, price conscience, to be competitive. If it's $1 cheaper, that's a lot on the wholesale end. So it's being aware of that, price conscience, decent shirt, and their procurement being, very on top of getting the right product to the person. Because it's very easy when they have a lot of orders to put a small instead of a medium.
Yeah.
Once it gets to that person's disappointed. You have very good customer service, so you're going to apologize to that person and then reship the right one.
Mhm.
Now, they're supposed to ship that one back. Good luck.
Yeah.
So you just lost a shirt. You just lost money because you have to have your staff member do the right thing. You know, it can get costly for you.
Yeah.
And then if that person's disappointed, they won't order from us again. So we all lose.
Yeah.
So procurement's really important.
Yeah, you try to factor that in. You know, we do that with the fine art paper prints.
And once in a while it's going to happen. It's
it's normal. Let me go grab this.
While
real
he's grabbing that. So I'm going to have James and Lewis kind of talk a little bit about what they saw at the expo, what James is looking to offer, and you'll kind of going on to the t-shirt thing. Then we'll go over to David and Robert and see also if there's something else that y'all would like us to have out there. You know, what are things, and I know, David, you've done now from a gallery perspective too, now of having to work with artists who are doing
That's
the
printed
prints.
from your machine.
This will be.
I thought
That's a sample.
that wasn't the original shirt from the concert you went to months ago.
I was a lot smaller than two.
So you just
Okay, let
look at the thrift
Robert
store
do
real
that.
quick and brought that in.
Yeah.
Good thrift store, fine.
So take a look at, now we had our official silk screener who works here on staff at FinerWorks. Doesn't do silk screen, he does dye sublimation.
Yeah, he does dye.
But I had Zane inspect it. and he was-
Yeah, Zane has his own silk screen thing, and
Yeah,
he's
That's the difference between a transfer and this. The transfers are beautiful looking, but they'll always have a little edge on them that looks like plastic around it. This direct printing process, you don't have that. You don't have any film, and this is
and we had used
this registration is really good because that
Well-
was my next question. On black shirts, it's a little trickier for direct because you have to put white down first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so the white down's first, and then the full color comes on it, and the registration is really tight. This is
So,
a very good.
it's like
position.
Yeah,
magic,
so
right?
that's
If you could do this
Well-
quality, you'll do really well.
Yeah, so that is, I don't want to go too much into the process because I'm just not sure yet how much I want to divulge on that because it's a relatively new process that we're going to be engaged in. But it actually utilizes a 4-color ink system. It's a digital printing system.
Right.
It does utilize a heat press. There is a transfer process. Okay, but the process is it's different than say cutting out vinyl and print sticking. It's not the
Well,
same.
the
thing.
difference is too with it because I've done many transfers.
Mhm.
Is again that you don't have that little see-through film around.
Correct.
The
Correct.
image.
So
That's
only
the game changer.
so the media only picks up the inks, and then the heat only transfers the inks, and then also transfers a barrier as well onto the shirt to help protect the inks. Now this shirt they say will survive about 40 washes without any noticeable, any real
I
damage.
see 80 washes
And
because
then,
of the.
and then there's a treatment
Yeah.
process we can also apply, which will give it about another double the lifespan of
And
it.
if you wash it inside out, that's going to help.
Probably, yeah,
Mhm.
that's
They're
what I'm
double
thinking as well. So now, right now, the most we'll be able to, the largest we'll be able to do at this point is 11 by 7.
Well, that's huge.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping
The average size on a shirt is 9 inches wide
okay,
for
that's good to
front.
know.
and approximately 11 inches if you want to be on the back.
Gotcha.
The back's a little bit bigger than
So-
the front. And the 9 allows for, it's a good size for X large shirts, doesn't get too lost, but will also be good visually on a small.
Sure,
They
sure.
won't look too big. That, 9 inches wide.
So price point for the printing process, printing and labor, maybe a couple dollars. Of course, ultimately the price will be dictated by the amount of shirts we buy, the quality of the shirts we buy, and so forth. So I think we're going to be close to I think we'll definitely be well within direct to garment printing points. Whether or not we can get into screen printing price points is a little bit harder to do, I think, just because I don't know a whole lot about screen printing costs and so forth. But I know there is a substantial setup charge, but your cost per print is probably going to be less than $1 on a screen print, whereas your cost per print on this would be at least $2. So
okay, and then again, that's based on whatever quantity is,
Yeah.
right? If you're doing one shirt, of course.
yeah, these are going to be generally one up. So if you wanted to do 500 shirts, this is probably not the best process for a customer.
Right, but if
Yeah.
somebody's ordered one shirt, you can't charge a couple bucks. How do you
No,
make any
no,
money?
no, obviously not. Yeah. And the artists themselves, they're typically going to be charging $15 to $20 for a shirt like this. I'm guessing, right?
The average price right now, is this okay to say?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, 'cause
That'll
I
be
can say it
helpful
off
to
the
many.
record.
Yeah.
No, because artists will eat that up.
Okay, so two things. I know exactly the process that you're talking about. It's actually a heat transfer that comes down and it releases things onto the shirt, correct?
Essentially, yeah, essentially.
Okay, so I know that process. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
So when you order those, they actually do the full silk screen onto the transfers, which is really cool because it allows one at a time, or to have your inventory of the blank shirts and not be committed to a 500 run. You're not a t-shirt company that has
Correct.
your own design.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's not silk screen.
So
It's actually using a special toner type printer.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it's a digital toner.
4-color
type
toner.
of
Yeah,
color.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
tricked me. That
Yeah,
looks
and-
like plastisol ink,
yeah, it does.
but
yeah.
it doesn't. But it has a softer feel.
Yeah.
and
So,
that
but
That's
but
a really
price,
that's the difference between if you were to go get a full color screen printing job on a shirt, it's expensive
Yeah.
because it's not just 4-color process. To get the whites on there and the blacks solid, those are separate screens. They'll do a white screen, a black screen, and then the 4 screens. So that's 6 screens.
Mhm.
And then building those screens is expensive. So
Mhm.
the average price is $30 to $35 per screen charge because of the transfer
Sure.
and the process. So that's expensive. And then that's all set up. And then when they print the shirt, it builds up, because, especially for dark shirts.
Yeah.
Because you have that white. So all the ink that hits on top of that white is going to start building up. So it's thick. That's amazing to me, this process. I'm totally going to use it.
So we got our first
I'm really
customer
excited.
in.
I'm going to go home and send you an order right now.
So when will we have those, James?
well,
Actually, the equipment's en route to us
Yeah.
already this week.
yeah, and there's some transfer media involved that we need as well.
That's
And some
on the way
training.
as well.
And our
So-
training
In the
here.
training,
So it's
I would say within the next week.
yeah.
By next week, we'll
Hopefully,
have it.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
We have a batch of shirts that we ordered just for testing purposes and kind of get a sense of how they wash and shrink and all that before we settle on that shirt, because
Mhm.
before we invest large sums of money to buy shirts in bulk, because I know these will sell well. But the question I want to ask you, Robert, is what can an artist, let's say if they, I don't know yet what the price point is, but let's say we're between $10 and $12 per shirt.
That's going right.
Okay. What do artists sell these for?
It depends on how popular you are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Well, our-
what is a good range that a
I sell my shirts in the store for $30.
okay,
People don't blink an eye.
okay.
And I thought that was going to be a little too high, but
Well, you're relatively well known, but let's say someone that's trying to get their foot in or trying to get started, sells
I think that $30
sells at an art show or something like that, and has
20.
has a small fan base. What
Well, actually, I thought 30 was a little high for San Antonio.
Right.
But what I'm finding is a lot of people, you probably find this, you travel and you have clients from out of town. they're used to paying big city prices,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So the average T-shirt in any large city is going to be 30 and up.
Mhm.
In San Francisco, it could be as high as $45, $50 for a T-shirt.
I just bought I bought an Elton John T-shirt for $65.
And then, you can also, what I would encourage artists that are new to the game of T-shirts, don't think of it as a cheap product. It's just T-shirts. You can actually use the same model as you're doing your giclée prints. So if you were to do a series of 50 giclée prints and you sign and number them, and it's a closed series of 50, those are going to be worth a lot more than an open run of giclée prints.
Yeah.
Okay, now if you only do 25, the price goes up. So I would encourage them to think about shirts the same way. You can offer you have a limited edition shirt,
Mhm.
and think about it as fine art, but it's a wearable product, right? And because there's a lot of artists who go, oh, I'm a purist, I don't do T-shirts. And that's okay. Let the purists be purists. And they can borrow $5 from us.
Yeah.
We'll buy them coffee. But if you want to make some money, have some fun, you can think about that way, even the way that you package it. So you get your shirt, and maybe you have it in a little pizza box with, a square little pizza box,
Mhm.
and you put your own label on it.
Like a box like this. Or
Yeah.
something.
Sure.
And we can actually make those
We're
boxes here
actually
now.
gonna be making
Custom boxes.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so
with
And
your
add your
artwork
art.
printed on it.
right with
As
your
an
own,
option.
then it's a gift, and it's more high
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing that and you have a full color on a dark shirt, a good shirt, and you have it in a box, it's a $50 T-shirt.
Yeah.
And that's,
Just with a
think about it.
dollar box.
And if people think that's too high, well, go to Walmart and get one.
Yeah.
Get the same thing.
Oh,
they
produce.
can't.
I was just on a website for an artist who's a really popular illustrator within sort of the kind of monster and pop art culture.
Mhm.
And his shirts were going, his black T-shirt, one white image, silkscreen for $50.
Yeah.
And that was it.
So the bottom line is, and we probably should move on to some other
Yeah.
products because we could go on
For
for.
T-shirts, yeah.
Yeah, we could
I
probably
just
make
have one more comment.
Okay.
There's also what I always encourage people that are starting out with a new product to sell, and they'll always come to me for advice for pricing. It's like anything else. You can have a small run of them and say, hey, here's a series of 50. I'm only doing 50, and they're X amount of dollars. Okay. You can say they're $100. You will sell them slower. If you come in and you go $40, you sell them quick. So do you want to make that, a fast dime or a slow nickel, or it's that type of thing. So if you're doing it where you have giclées, you have drops. If you're doing a drop, they're real good for saying, hey, I have this new giclée out. It's $350. Sign a number. I'm only doing 50 of them. Okay. The first 25 get a free T-shirt.
Mm.
You can use this as an
As a
incentive,
promotion.
Mhm.
as a promotional incentive. Buy 2 prints, get a free T-shirt,
Mhm.
or buy this set of prints because it's close to Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People love
That's good.
gift box sets. So you can do, say, you do a sporty little square size, an 8x8, right? And you can get standard frame. Your customer or the person that you're giving the gift to, I always encourage to try to do a size, whether it's a print, a shirt, or whatever the medium is that if they want to get their own frame, which is easier for shipping, you just ship it to them, that they can go somewhere conveniently and get a standard size frame. Because when it comes into custom framing, it can be a little pricey, but your framing and your prices are very good. So I'm not saying to only do the standard sizes, but if you're doing a box set, you might think about that. And the type of box that you have, how many can fit in there? Can you do a square box?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
We actually we're going to be utilizing software which has all these templates that we can actually modify the template.
Custom boxes?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, the wheels in his head are going.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, that I know the wheels in your head. I can hear them all like here
Like I said,
already.
we could go on and
Yeah.
on about. I think we could do a whole episode on
Yeah.
the t-shirts with Robert.
And if
Oh,
you're
no, I'm not. That's the thing. I'm not talking about just shirts. I'm thinking to think about
Oh yeah, I just
the novelty
package.
aspect of the packaging.
Yeah.
Your that you clay prints. You know, do 4
as a
offer
set.
and do an incentive of stickers. You know, buy a print, get a free sticker. You can use T-shirts, stickers, little novelty things as incentive.
And I think that's kind of where some of this is going. Is what we're seeing is we sell a lot of dye sublimation products. You know, coffee mug, mouse pads, and things like that. And we do a lot of those, not because we have customers ordering a lot. We just have a lot of customers ordering, making small orders for those.
Right.
And a lot of times they are utilized in that fashion. They're not looking to make a whole lot of money. The big money is in the fine art paper prints and the frame pieces and the canvas prints.
That's my biggest market.
Yeah. And but they're good incentive sales. And that's one of the things we really kind of are looking is how do we help the artists incentivize those sales?
Yeah.
And
this is diversifying your art.
Well, you could do the same thing with your model of what you do. Is to encourage an artist that normally orders 5 prints of an image. You know, order 20 of these images, and we'll throw in 25 free stickers.
Yeah.
You could,
it's all kinds of little things.
And many people who have maybe ordered our sample kits, they kind of have gotten this little brochure in their stuff, and it kind of shows what we currently offer in our dye sub, our coasters, our mugs, the slates that you guys were looking at earlier. And like I said, pretty soon we'll have this t-shirt line coming on, but we're also going to look at a router to do custom kind of cutting. Correct?
Yeah. So, and you had mentioned that you're looking to do some custom shape metal stuff as well. Can you go into some detail on that?
Yeah, the question was that did I introduce myself to the?
Oh, yeah, this is go for it.
So David Blancas, visual artist like Robert. We do a lot of mural work. Sculpture is something that I've added to my resume, a recently larger sculpture, and I think that metal, because these are meant to be outside and hold up to the elements. Metal, especially CNC router, right, cut exactly to a design would really be something that I like to have in terms of low relief to an additional element to my 2D mural work. But I haven't really found anybody yet that I think that will be able to give me some of these embellishments as additional elements that I would upsell to a client. Because I mean, yeah, you can paint it and paint it well, but that you would have some just low relief elements that are going to hold up outside. It's going to be indoors.
You can also do your original, have it shot, and then you can print full color directly onto the metal.
Well,
And
yeah,
then
that's-
sell
that's-
it.
I was going to do it by hand the hard way, but even better.
Well, it's better for outdoor.
Yeah.
It'll last long.
And I'm seeing several artists that do outdoor murals go to that aspect, where they're doing it digitally now and printing on what ultimately looks like outside wallpaper. And then it's UV
Rubio's been doing a lot of that.
UV coated. Yeah. Then they UV coated on there. Lewis, is there something along those lines that,
Oh yeah, I mean, when you think of billboards out there on the highways and stuff, those materials already are, whether they be vinyl or some sort of synthetic material that is printed off a solvent or a UV printer roll or flatbed, those types of inks tend to withstand the elements a little bit more outdoors, whether it be 1 to 2 year or even 3 to 5 year. But then, as David was saying, or even Melissa was saying about wall murals digitally, there are other materials that have been coming out where it's like a primered aluminum that you can basically mount onto a wall outdoors, and if it's on a brick, you can roll it into the crevices of the brick and create that texture like it was a hand-painted mural. So
is it like a very thin vinyl kind of thing?
Yeah, it's
like some of the vinyl that you brought.
Yeah, there's vinyl with vinyl on top of like a really thin aluminum sheet.
Okay.
So think of like aluminum cans or something like that, but really flexible,
Mhm.
that you can roll in and press in. And then at the end of the day, you can, if you're going to change out that image, you could literally cut it out and then, recycle it with that. Well, I won't say that for sure, but I think the aluminum side of it can. I think that the vinyl as well. So, but there's a couple different products out there in the market as well that can do that. But you can even do it on vinyl or some sort of even an outdoor canvas. There's a
Do
couple.
you have a
of,
dye bond sample?
Uh,
Because this is, I
Yeah,
do,
I
essentially.
have them.
Yeah, so they make a product that it seems like tin, and it's got a thin core in the middle of it.
this is
And
Dibond
on
right
one
here.
side, it comes white.
Mhm.
If it's not all metal, it's a,
Well,
it's a polymetal. So it's got a
yeah,
poly.
so
Those are them right
so
there.
it's white so that you're full color print. Now you can full color print on this metal, and what's going to happen is it'll be really shiny and cool, but it's not going to have depth. It's not going to have your whites and your bright colors. It's going to mute it.
Now,
Right.
there is an exception to that. Two exceptions. One is the Dibond option, such as these right here.
Yeah.
And
Okay, that
now
could
that
be
one we
white.
used a white ink on silver. Okay, and that one was without any white ink.
Right.
Okay.
So there you go.
You have
It's
different.
still cool. It's a cool look.
it has a metallic luster to it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one on my left here.
And then, then the other thing that option we have is dye sublimation. Now that's on something called Chromolux metal panels. We call them the
That's
HD metal panels on our website. And that's a dye sublimation process where we're using heat. We're printing to a transfer paper, and we're then using heat and pressure to make sure that image forms into a gas and basically combines with a polymer coating on the metal. That's a really good option. That's going to give you, like the
Yeah,
prints you
it's
see
real
back there
good.
behind us is the dye sublimation. I don't know if I've got any other samples.
Yeah.
But now where we're going to take it to the next step, because everyone offers, squares and rectangles. Many labs, color labs, only offer set sizes. Now, we already took it one step further a while back when we first started by offering custom sizes. We're going to take it another step, custom shapes. And that's where something like this comes in, where we can actually sublimate the image, and then we can contour cut around the image.
Wow.
Which,
So for example, there's a project that
And we'll do that with dye bond as well.
that in longevity, say that if I were to sell this project and I put a bid in for it, if it does happen, I would first paint it
Mhm.
so that it's done paint relief,
Sure.
and it's gonna have the hand done look, then photographed, and that file then can go to you when you have the equipment for it, so that I can be some can be printed, others can be cut out, and so that parts of it will have relief,
Mhm.
which depending on the day, depending where the position of the building, will cast shadows that'll interact in different ways, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. And then the longevity, how will the inks hold up? So when I tell the client if it's going to be an outdoor piece, what's the longevity?
I think with as an outdoor piece, you'd probably want to go with UV printing direct, okay, versus the Chromolux option, okay. And we can UV print to aluminum direct. We don't at the moment, but we want to make that available, and we can figure out a way to make that available to you, obviously.
Because most likely there will probably be some sort of maintenance clause that I work
Yeah.
in the contract,
Yeah.
where every year or 2 years,
maybe
give it a
5.
UV, reseal
Yeah.
it just for the sake of.
You can with the process he's talking about. The best way to apply, I wouldn't recommend brushing it.
No, spray. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem with the dye sub option is that is outdoor Chromolux metal, but I hear mixed things about the light fastness of it. How well it handles the sunlight.
Well, I've been
Whereas-
product testing that, and back in May, I went and had
Every year you got
printed
Yeah.
in very light colors too. It was like,
Working in the contract
muted
and
pinks
black
of
and-
like my grandparents, and I put it on their headstone and just 3M stuck this metal on there. It's been there since May, direct sunlight, weather condition,
that's the indoor Chrome
yeah,
Lux,
that was just
so-
the indoor Chromolux, and it has withstand the color is still there.
A 2-part epoxy really helps a lot too. That you'll get a lot of longevity out of that.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say, how do they adhere to?
I feel that the UV inks would probably be more suitable, and then maybe with an epoxy coating afterwards.
Your UV inks are going to hold up solid for about a year, and then after that, it start fading a little bit. I've had
Yeah, I was gonna say we've done
experiences with that.
but for
signage,
for
we've done a
long
lot of
term,
signage.
I mean, they're relatively well proven versus Chrome Lux. In your test case, it's been holding up well.
Yeah.
Now
So,
indoor, it'll last forever.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
It's just Texas.
Yeah, that's why we're
severe-
trying it. That's why we're trying it in San Fernando Cemetery on the west
I
side.
don't think there's really anything out there that's not gonna be
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
somehow affected.
The metal's
right.
what temperature does the metal get up to during summer months, right?
Right.
I mean, it's gonna get hot. It's gonna cook some of the paint. I imagine,
Relatively,
right?
Yeah.
you'd be surprised. The core, I think it's because it breathes.
Now that's
Different.
Dibond is really
This
made
material
For
is called
outside.
diverse.
Right, so it's
And
metal
it's
on the outside and
lightweight.
something else,
Yeah.
acrylic or something in the middle sandwich.
It's like a poly.
Plastic.
Polyethylene.
Yeah.
It's basically a
They're
plastic.
plastic.
Yeah.
So it's metal on the outside sandwich.
And it doesn't really heat up that much.
Well, I see what the inner layer won't allow it to get
Right.
the core temperature up to what solid
Yeah.
metal.
Now you have to think about how you're going to attach this because it's thin.
That's
It's not like
yeah.
MDO that you can print on MDO. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So if it's a 1/4 inch MDO, you can screw into it. You can do a lot more things.
Probably just mask some of the
You can-
screwy mounts.
Depending on
brackets.
the size of the pieces, you can just use a what's it called? Liquid nails
Liquid
because
nails.
it's very lightweight.
Even liquid nails outside with over time cooking just crack off. So I'll probably make some kind of bracket system where they just slot.
Oh.
Oh, look at you!
Right.
Yeah, David installs
That would
are
work, that would
amazing.
work.
Right. So there's nothing that's gonna.
Maybe we need to have him look at some more hanging options. So anyway, those are some of the things that we're looking at with aluminum. The other things, this is PVC, okay?
And you can screw into PVC.
Yeah, that would hold up.
And very easy to contour cut. Something we'll also be looking at doing. One thing is we're figuring out, okay, do we want to come up with different product options from coasters to mouse pads that's printed on these, or do we want to just let the artists come up with their own ideas?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not a sign company.
No, we're not.
But a lot of artists, we're going more graphic, even the way that you're thinking, you can, as a traditional badass painter. You're already talking about adding elements of design and a 3-dimensional thing. And that's where we're kind of going contemporary right now, is that graphic design is starting to come into the fine art world and be recognized and appreciated. Where before that you'd always have it separate, design, graphic design is not fine art, this is fine art. Well, now it's starting to merge.
And we see that.
A lot of artists
Yeah.
that are doing fine art work are doing cutouts or another piece adds to it, or kind of looking like a sign, but it's not a sign.
No,
So it writes that.
it's a display piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fun to do that.
Yeah.
Even one of the ideas that I have it's just theoretical, but I could tell more of a story with an animation to a mural. The mural is static, right? But there would be some kind of QR code that they would scan in, some kind of whether it's AR or it's just an animation of the 2D paint that you rendered. A QR code would be important, but again, it's for longevity. So to the client, could it be QR code will be cut out, right? The negative space would be, I guess, black, right? And then the metal, so long as it.
That thumb up thing. Do you have that?
Engrave it.
The
That
only
thumb
thing,
up?
yeah, if you start
The thing
like
with
you
the
say, engrave.
it has
if
a
you say
thumb
cut
that
out.
the finger thing that
Oh,
gotta go
you have
grab it.
to worry about shadows.
For
the QR codes, yeah.
What if it's just
If it's flat, maybe, but if it was protruding out, it might be a little funky for the camera to read it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But experimental.
just to troubleshoot with that.
And that's a lot of that is experimentation.
This is my Fonzie artwork
Oh,
is.
see, now that process is cool.
Yeah.
That would work.
That's kind of what I meant, is
Yeah.
that the negative space would be cut
So
out.
you can
and
do that?
black.
Yeah, we will be doing that.
So, so regardless of the time of day, the shadow cast,
Right.
you already have a dark negative
That's gonna
space.
work.
The
Yeah.
QR code would always read.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
That's what-
I
that's
don't
what I'm
know how
That's clever. That's attractive.
how detailed yet that we can go as far as how fine, because it's obviously it's not a laser printer, so it's not going to be.
Well, with the QR code like that
But
size, that you're
if
talking, you
you're
would just
doing
go
it
bigger.
big,
You would just
Well,
do a
but
dual
if you're
size.
doing it
If you can cut,
large, yeah.
they're not QR code generators that you can get them. I would rather go with big blocky or belongs
Yeah,
over
exactly.
tiny little.
Especially if you're standing way back and you want to scan it, you're gonna probably have a QR code that
Mhm.
big.
Right, but
So-
that it's already integrated within the artwork and you have this really cool presentation of being cut out of the materials.
I'm gonna excuse myself for
Yeah,
one quick.
okay.
I'm gonna put this in my car. I cracked the back of my phone, and for some reason I can't get the volume down or turn it off.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay,
don't
no.
want it.
Okay.
I don't want to be that guy where
Yeah.
my phone is ringing.
Yeah, no problem.
What I wanted to, I forgot what I wanted to touch on that. Oh, maybe wait till Robert gets back. Well, I'll start the introduction. Okay. We're talking about adding a whole new element to people's artwork. Well, we are in the process of actually offering a product. Now we're going to be producing this product. You know what? I'm going to wait till Robert gets back. Louis, talk to us about paper.
No, well, actually, why don't y'all bring up some of the other stuff that you saw at Print United that, I mean, that's something that's like cutting edge to where maybe the next level of printing is going to go.
Obviously, I think this, if the guys that are behind this company are smart, okay, they're going to turn the whole t-shirt direct to garment industry upside down.
Yeah.
Okay. If they know what they're doing. Now, it's only a couple guys running this. Okay. So,
Well, we
but-
started out of your garage.
yeah,
so.
but this technology that's doing this is going to really, I think, here's the deal with direct to garment printing. I don't have anything against direct to garment. The direct to garment t-shirts, the equipment that we saw out there does some impressive work. The equipment's expensive,
Yeah.
incredibly expensive, and it's slow.
Mm-hmm.
To print out a t-shirt, and basically they're kind of like mini flatbed printers,
Mm-hmm.
and they only do one t-shirt at a time generally. I mean, I'm sure there's systems out there and we may have seen them and just overlooked them, but it's an inkjet process, and so it takes a while to spit out the ink and finish the print. Whereas this sample was done with, how long did it take it?
Like not even 2 to 3 minutes.
No. I mean each. There were 2 times it hit the heat press,
That's
and
like about
each one
8
was about 10
seconds.
seconds.
Yeah.
So it's a
yeah.
very, very quick process.
Would it be the same process that people who want to do blankets, other
No.
textiles and stuff like that?
No. One of the things we saw was when you're talking about the blankets and the towels and things like that, the really large items, you're talking textile printing. It's usually there is some, we saw them, but we didn't really spend much time looking at them. There were some direct to garment type methods, but really where it's at is in the dye sublimation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's where we saw a lot of, and basically large dye sublimation printers which print on this transfer paper.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can go into detail that these they're not transferring the print using these big clamshell presses. They're explain these the drum
Those drum
presses.
presses, yeah. So
It looks like a giant laminator.
I mean, yeah, that's basically what it is. They're taking these bolts of material and transferring the paper with heat and or pressure through a roll system. So they're sinking it through, and those the papers going through there like a laminator and then peeling off, and the finished product is coming out
Mhm.
on this big fabric, whether it be canvas or poly of some sort, or
Yeah.
nylon, what have you.
Yeah.
But when you get into some of the more boutique items like the towels
Yeah.
and kitchen items and things like that, there's a whole other process with that, with having to have the process that y'all are doing with the dry mount press or the heat presses,
Mhm.
some size limitations that you'll be at. So
That's what I think when in the comments we had people just on the social posts that were asking about, high quality products for, which is a different kind of printing on the t-shirt where it's, what is it, Robert, where it's the full entire,
It's an all over print.
an all over
So that
print.
means you can do pillows.
Yes, well, yeah,
Yeah.
we do pillows now,
You know
but
what I say to that?
so
Yeah. The all over printing process is typically using what Lewis described, these drum presses, these
Mhm.
drum heat presses, which again it's heat and pressure that these rollers are building up and applying to
both the fabric,
to
or
the
whatever
fabric.
the fabric is, or the surface.
With the all over printing, and I don't know a whole lot about it. It's a more complex process because typically what they're doing is they're doing something. They're utilizing those type of heat presses, maybe smaller versions than the one we saw, because the regular flat presses tend to. Most companies, you can get some pretty large ones, but they take up a lot of space, and they don't necessarily press. The bigger you go, the harder it is to get consistent press,
Well,
especially
somebody needs
pressure.
fabric that
So you-
big.
Yeah, so for those
You can go to a-
all around t-shirts with all around printing, full coverage, you need those drum presses typically.
I mean, you're essentially creating the
and-
material first, and then
And then what they do
Right.
is they
Yeah.
take it to a cutter like what we're, the cutting equipment
Yeah.
we're adding. It comes with textile cutting blades as well.
Really?
Yeah. And so it cuts out the pattern, and then it takes it to then they actually sew them together.
So you're gonna have sewers too?
No,
Yeah.
we're not going to do that. At least, I kept telling him, don't say never, because we came back from that show. I had no intent of offering t-shirts. Now it's like,
yeah, he texted
It's
us
right
like
on
that
the
night
top.
while he
Yeah.
was out there in Vegas. All of us got a text, and we're
yeah,
like,
say,
"Look at this
look
T-shirt."
at the newest product. And so,
So it was
So-
exciting. It was
so-
really exciting for you. I mean, because I know you've been kind of like, no, I don't want to offer T-shirts, and so
yeah,
I knew
so-
it had to be something innovative enough for you
Well,
to bring
I
it.
didn't like the direct to garment process
No,
because
that's
of
sad.
the time frame and the
Mhm.
cost. As I was
Yeah.
going into the cost of the printers, it just I couldn't see, and they had a lot of my I would see people discussing that the printers would go down after the 1,000
The inks are really
t-shirt
expensive.
and what have you, and I was like, okay, well, this machine's gonna bug out on me before I even
Make
make
the-
enough to pay for
the
what it
machine.
costs. And so I got a lot of mixed message. Some would love them. The quality's good, print quality, don't get me wrong, print quality is fantastic.
Yeah, but it takes a while.
But the like I was we were saying, knocking this out took 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so the speed is there. But we're talking about adding a whole nother element to, now that you're back, I was going to go into this.
Yeah, he was waiting on you.
Yeah, we kind of got off on a side note, but one of the things as artists we see, because we fill a lot of orders on Etsy, is they're looking for something that really adds to their artwork, another dimension. And I'm not necessarily talking just the third dimension or the three-dimensional aspect, but a whole nother element to their senses. Okay. And,
Scratch and sniff.
Yeah, scratch and sniff.
well, we haven't, I'm waiting for Lewis to come up with a
That's
transfer.
2025.
There's supposed to be a special paper on the market, right? Is that it? Yeah, it turns inkjet prints into scratch and sniff. Is
We
that
can
it?
talk next week.
Okay. I would be surprised.
Yeah.
You know, Lewis brings some crazy stuff, and I have no idea what the heck I'm looking at. And so, oh yeah, you need to offer this. Why would anyone want? What was that? A paper Christmas ornament that you brought the other?
Yeah.
Well, we just
Well,
actually
yeah.
had somebody ask about ornaments on
Oh,
here.
well, I think this material is going to be
And
an
the
excellent option for
router that we're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah,
about.
that is something also on the acrylic
Acrylic?
Yeah,
ornaments. So
Yeah.
those are on the list.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, don't shut down paper ornaments right off the bat.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
telling
okay,
you.
okay. Yeah, you know, I never say never. Anyway, so
Um,
there's a whole other element of what I wanted to bring up is we're working with the company to fulfill some orders, and I talked to him, and he expressed that no problem with me mentioning. I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but bringing up this concept, and one of the things he's going to do is he's going to work with us as far as acquiring some materials so we can also offer this product. But anyway, this is a canvas print.
You're gonna love this, Robert.
Okay,
I'm listening.
that is a Bluetooth speaker.
What? How?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell us more. How does that?
yeah, that's cool. I can envision that.
So, I'll show you the framework. And so, essentially, and this is not obviously canvas print, but this is the frame itself. Okay, and so it has a switch. It can be plugged in, or it can be wireless. Okay, as far as power is concerned.
Okay,
It's supposed to be rechargeable.
that's hot.
Anyway, so it is a canvas print that wraps around this regular canvas print, fine art clay print wrapped around the special speaker frame.
Okay.
Okay.
And the speaker goes through the canvas.
It's been carefully engineered and designed to maximize the quality of the sound output based upon the instructions as far as how we're going to stretch, how we're going to actually produce the canvas print and stretch and mount it.
So, but it's a Bluetooth
It's a
device.
Bluetooth,
Mhm.
yeah,
Phone.
so you can connect it to your
You
phone.
give your story to your
Yeah,
artworks and have it in
here-
there.
You can
Here's-
narrate your own work.
Here's another cool option. Anniversary gifts,
People do that.
person's favorite song. Okay,
Program.
okay, you put a little QR code, print that on the canvas, you scan it with your phone, this on the side of the canvas, okay, and it starts, it maybe links to a Spotify song or a song on Spotify, it starts immediately playing your favorite song. So we do a lot of these anniversary gifts, personalized gifts.
Yeah, we have artists that do the
Artists do the
Etsy.
audio voice style
So
prints and so forth.
You can enhance, like, if you're on the computer,
Perfect for that.
there's a speaker there. A lot of times you'll have a second speaker or a third speaker, right? If you're listening to music while you're on the computer, that would be cool as a piece in offices to be that it's personalized by their
Absolutely.
computer and they have a second.
speaker.
So
Yeah.
the intent, and it hasn't been finalized, it is pretty much final that we will be producing those for this other company, but the intent is for us to also acquire those frames pre-made, and then we will offer those as a product option to our customers as well.
It's fun. So you guys are really open-minded to,
Yeah.
to expand out, like you're saying, second, third dimensionally. Or
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Fun.
really, what you're mentioning is artists are looking for a way to express themselves, their work in ways that may not be in the traditional two-dimensional format. And so that is a whole nother dimension, not three dimensions, a whole nother dimension to their senses.
Sound.
It's
Yeah.
it's very similar to, well, obviously not just outdoor spaces, but expanding sort of the indoor spaces. Obviously we have that set up in San Antonio right now, or maybe it just got finished with the whole immersive Van Gogh experience and stuff, where paintings like throughout and all that. But at Clampitt, Dallas, our headquarters, Clampitt Paper in Dallas, we did an installation from a paper line called Color Plan, and the installation is called Portal. It was only up for about 2 weeks. They just took it down, but essentially it was this paper line out of the UK from GF Smith is 55 colors, and they made these boxes, and there was this sort of installation piece in the conference room where it was just walls of color, sort of like as if you would look into a Pantone chip chart with the variations of shades of tones and stuff,
Oh, cool.
and
Okay.
just these big walls. And
I
there's
saw that on
4
y'all's-
different. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it on
Instagram?
your Instagram. Yeah.
4 different sort of portals where every one of those had a speaker system.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a person there that was talking about doing a study on the sound of color,
Mm-hmm.
how there's this verbiage that, what is it called? Synesthesia, yeah. So where when people see a certain color, they can actually hear music or the sound of that color. So this sort of
That'd be great for
will
blind
give you,
people.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we do the
so
art in the dark kind of stuff too. Yeah, let's see. I'm just thinking of your mural too, the La Musica mural, to do a playlist from all the artists that are represented on there, and you have that, like he's saying, the QR code, and
Yeah, there's
people who make buy that, the proceeds go to your
you
mural.
would tell a story specific to your work. Even when any of your murals would have, now that you would have the ability to tell it through your own words if you're going to narrate it, but all the dimensions.
He just hit on something.
No,
So it doesn't necessarily have to go to a song.
right.
No, absolutely
You
not.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
yeah.
It could be a narrative.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You go up to this painting and you want to know the story behind, because we get asked that all the time at
Yep.
auctions. Oh, what was your meaning behind this? We make up stuff.
Yeah, he does. I don't have 4 different stories for
But
some
how
pieces.
cool would that be that you can
Artists
go up with your
own-
phone, do the QR code, and it gives you a little story behind it. That's brilliant.
The artist words, explain it.
Yeah,
And
some
when-
people do that with AR, but this.
Well, I've seen it done before with headphones.
Yeah.
Clunky headphones. You got to get them off on camera. But if you could just interact like that, and then people behind you can hear it too.
Yeah, and generating things like QR codes and stuff is so easy to do.
Mhm.
You can do it
Yeah.
online.
It's
Copy and paste the QR code into your artwork, upload it to a place like FinerWorks, and print it on canvas, and
Yeah.
boom. You don't even need to have a special Bluetooth thing, but that QR code technology is so advantageous.
All the restaurants are using that. They don't even do print.
Now, I know Robert's worked with stencils. Have you worked with stencils as well? No? That was something I was talking to James about with, what's the the material that we were looking.
Coroplast is
Coroplast.
There's some Coroplast or Creoplast as well.
Yeah, the
that we sell.
Coroplast is
It's
what we were
real
looking
thin.
at.
Okay.
But
Well,
it can be die cut or cut into
Yeah.
shapes for artists that use stencils. Because then you don't have to worry about the stencil falling apart after so many
The only
uses.
thing with that is
I was going to ask
the
you.
thinner the better.
right. So you could
But then
essentially
it still
use,
doesn't warp up and
right. The
Yeah.
Coroplast is essentially kind of the signs that you would see at Home Depot or what at
Yeah.
the where
thick.
so the store for real estate signage or
Mhm.
garage sales and stuff like that. But you're probably thinking of styrene,
Mhm.
like or
Yes.
even a thin
Styrene.
polyester sheet that's
Styrene would be better,
sort
yeah.
of it's a synthetic. Basically, it's tear resistant, kind of weather resistant.
It's like a thinner version of this, basically.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's see-through.
Well, there is see-through, but then there's also, it's plastic, so you have various ranges of color if you want it colored. So that would be something too. That's a product that I'm showing him that
No.
there's some black, sort of
They'll-
like almost like a styrene that.
And we have an artist on staff that does stencil work, don't we?
Well, he's used stencil stuff as Caldrick, and he's did for a
Caldrick,
local pizza thing, and he was like, "Oh my God, if y'all make that would be great."
It is an advantage
Yeah.
to have a clear product,
Yeah.
not stencils.
Because
Yeah.
you can see your placement.
Yes.
Yeah. There's also you can do a registration
Mhm.
system that would work well since it's being cut out. You're not hand cutting out. Is that you can you have circles in the corners, so you can do a registration system. You match
The placement of
circles.
one.
Yeah.
Now this is an area I'm not all that familiar with. How do you deal with things like, okay, let's look at this, like this A, which has obviously if you stencil it out, you're going to have this piece
Whole.
from the hole, or if it's an O, do you obviously you're stenciling that out as well. Do you
I
position
think,
that?
not
on-
speaking for all artists, but most artists that use stencils want it to look like a stencil.
Oh, okay.
It's a street art factor.
Okay.
So we're not embarrassed to show that it's a stencil.
Okay. Gotcha. So,
And now, if you're doing like signage or something commercial and you want to fake it, that's not a stencil, then you just come back in and you put a piece by that A and
Stick it on
cardboard and
okay. Gotcha.
because traditionally with stenciling it's spray paint.
Okay.
So you can cheat things, but the whole reason you're using stencils is to have that stencil look. So there is an art in preparing your art to, a lot of times I'll reverse it while I'm working on it. And because it's just how my mind looks at the black, realizing that the white piece is going to fall out, so
Mhm.
your cuts, where you do and then with your router, the way that it cuts the stencil too, it's going to need that, or otherwise the piece is going to drop out.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and you never want to get too thin of an area between those lines. You got to leave a little space, not only for the routing, but also the thinner it is, the more fragile it's going to be when you lift it up, the use of it.
Oh,
And that's what I was
so-
wondering
so-
for the longevity, if
Sometimes
looking
they'll
at
break.
something that'll be longevity, so for stencil artists that we could probably,
So you have to find the happy medium between not too thin but not too thick.
Yeah.
Yes. The other thing with being too thick is that the spray paint,
runs,
well, it'll
Oh, yeah.
build in that area
yeah,
because you just gave it a canyon,
yeah,
Yeah. Understood.
and then when you lift it off, it's a little tricky.
anyway.
It's going to leave a little buildup on the side. So the thinner
Like
the
a
material, the
ridge.
better, but still
Mhm.
rigid.
Mm.
That would be the advantage using your product because we hand cut on. There's the oil board that we use. You can use poster board,
Yeah,
but that only give you one or two.
exactly. And that's what I'm
They start
hoping is that
breaking
we could provide a stencil type that artists could use for longevity purposes. If anything is vandalized, they can easily have the stencil right there. And like you're saying with registration marks, you go in.
Not
You
just
can-
encouraging vandalism.
No, if somebody,
So if you want to be a really good fan,
yeah. Well, I have my vandalizing stencils for other thing, but no. If a work of art, when somebody has paid for a stencil artist to go there and it gets ruined,
you
it's
were
easy.
saying if it gets
Yeah, if it gets vandalized, you could kind of go back with that registration mark. You have your stencils. You would kind of keep them like you would canvases, and take them back out and go touch up.
Yeah, a lot of stuff like Scotch and which is our local amazing stencil artist, James Cobb. He used to do a lot of stencils back in the day. And then we have ASL, who's amazing. They have little tricks of registration in the art.
Which is
You know,
interesting.
so
that's good.
they might have this one little piece that the paint goes over it and over it and over it. But it's about the final color, so they don't worry about it. You might have two pieces, something in the bottom, something on top, and they spray that area real light.
And then that's the
So if
registration.
you register the next one, now whatever color you do, it's going to change that color. But if you do it white on that piece, then the final one, it depends on how many layers you have.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's, like I said, I think that might be a good product. Another thing that people have asked at also are the enamel pins. Is that anything that y'all saw print process wise? How does that work?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't that? I mean,
Enamel pens, I mean, I didn't see anything out there on that.
but what type of equipment would we need for something like? Not that we would.
I mean, I've seen it- I mean,
He's
I've
trying not to
Enamel-
commit into it.
Enamel pen?
Mhm, you
Yeah,
know how,
I know
Oh,
there
that's
is.
a whole
Oh.
different.
yeah.
Pens, like as in writing pens?
No,
or-
no, no.
No,
The
no,
pin,
no,
like
no,
a
like
lapel thing.
pins.
You know, have you ever
Yeah,
seen?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a wizard.
Yeah, yeah.
Metals, they're little,
Right.
you know, like
Yeah.
Yeah, the little pin back. type
Mhm.
buttons.
Are those like laser engraved?
Um,
But I've seen with color.
Probably
Yeah, so
to
have I.
tool it and then they fill it in. A lot of times it's done by hand, but I don't know how cost effective that is to be done
Yeah,
here in
I'm
the
Those
States.
are they're set
Yeah.
up for manufacturing. You don't
Yeah.
want to get into that.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
don't.
so competitive right now, the
Right.
pricing and everything. I've done.
I was gonna say.
Probably have to tons of Fiesta medals for other.
And a lot of
Yeah.
that stuff comes from overseas.
Yeah.
So you have
Yeah. You
to,
can't-
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the hardest thing is
Especially in an on-demand one, it's just,
yeah.
you would have to do those.
Now you could do a prototype big for like a display. You know, go ahead, get your medals done.
Yeah.
But you have that file, the full color file, right? That would be fun for what you're doing with the cutouts and everything, because a lot of artists, what they'll do is they'll just make a blow up the color and stick it on foam core and hand cut it out and have that as a display. So when you're kind of far, you see what the image is.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine if you can emulate that?
Right.
So if it was printed,
Yeah.
full color onto it, what was the material we were talking about that they use for real estate signs?
Oh, the
Chloroplast.
chloroplast? Yeah.
So let's say it was that. That's easy to cut, and then you have your plexiglass, and that was put on top. It would look like a three-dimensional metal.
Yeah, that's what we were saying.
So imagine if that piece, because they're usually cut out.
Yeah.
So
We would
So to
probably
exaggerate it for displays, so all the stuff that you're doing is great for pop-ups, for displays for pop-ups.
Mhm.
The name of their booth, their
Mhm.
product.
Well,
What
what
you were talking
David
about, the
said.
QR codes, because everybody's doing QR
Yeah.
codes now.
but
and-
giving dimension to the art too, like it's like you were saying for that
Yeah,
project.
to be
I'm
able to,
thinking,
as an upsell, client wants this, well, okay, at that price point, we got this, but if you wanted this, and it's gonna go outdoors, or even indoors, having low relief gives it a whole, not everything, just parts that you want to accentuate.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's two different worlds, man. Indoor, outdoor. Indoor is easy.
Outdoors got to hold up, so that's why.
yeah,
Yeah.
Texas elements, boy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
it's a harsh
the
element. That,
Longevity has become more of a discussed factor, anything that's going to be outdoors, whereas indoors, yeah, prints can fade, but they're less likely to be damaged just by sitting there, whereas outdoor.
Birds shitting on it.
yeah.
That's just outside elements.
Yeah.
We get a hailstorm once a year, but it can damage a lot.
Well, it's kind of, I'm getting like some of the comments too from, just the artists that are watching and different things that they have tried and done over the thing. They were saying, yeah, definitely the ornaments were something that they wanted to get in. So we had another person mention that. Let's see, a lot of people were interested in the custom boxes. So we're getting a lot of comments on this.
It's really been kind of something way in the back of my mind when I discovered that's something we could produce, but has been brought to the forefront. And so we're looking at doing things with some of our existing products, being able to kind of like puzzles, mugs, and so forth, really kind of make it a full, complete package deals that they're not just buying a mug. They're one of the things I learned, and you look at Apple, you look at Microsoft, like the Microsoft Surface or an Apple computer or laptop computer, is when you get that new item and you get it and it's in a box, just a regular brown box or something, but you open that and then it's in a really nice box. And sometimes those boxes are so nice, you set them down and you feel guilty throwing that box away.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to do it. Now, obviously, we're not going to be producing boxes of the quality of what you get your iPad in. That nice, pristine, perfectly designed box that looks like an art piece itself. But we do want to have boxes that really help present the product because that places value. And whether it be a three-dimensional object like a mug, a coffee mug, or a two-dimensional object like a fine art clay print, if we can give the artist the ability to add a whole nother element of value to their artwork, make it feel more tangible, make it feel more like a exclusive piece of work. And if a piece is not framed, and ready to hang on the wall, it's hard to accomplish that with just an 8x10 print on some kind of archival matte paper. But if you can put it in a nice gift box or something else, something to really kind of really make it elevated, then I think it's a very valuable resource to the artist.
It could also work as an advantage for artists that do multiples. If they do a 15 or 25, I know it's all across the board, your customers, but I'm sure that you have a lot of artists that will have standard sizes, like 8 by 10, 16 by 24, 24 by 36. If you could provide a box that they could actually have that set of prints that they keep flat, it's a storage box.
Mhm.
And so I see that as an advantage. Like every time they do an order, if they're doing a run, a signed numbered series of 25 or 15, that they order a box from you too. You know, so it acts both gifts and storage for artists for the print. Even if it's 3 prints, we like to keep them separate, clean.
You know,
It's all
Yep.
box.
and you can
And
still create the
as-
branding on
yeah.
top of it.
Artists are
So
saying
we
right
all
there,
have
presentation is part
flat
of the art.
files, but you know, things get shifted around and stuff in flat files. But they have it as its own thin box that we can keep in the flat, you know, and then put a label on it, what that design is. Just keeps it real organized.
I think you could do that with your
Absolutely.
palettas on the metal, is have them printed
Yeah,
and then you have them die
perfect.
Just a
cut
custom.
and then, have it die cut out and everything. And
Yeah,
then
great idea.
I think that would be great. And you've been looking for a way to kind of,
Present
because
them
I
in-
think one of the pieces, I got his prototype. I don't know if you've seen his paletta series out, his public art. How big are they, David? The palettas when they, from stem to base?
About 9, almost 10 feet, but
They're-
but the smaller ones, like like
Well, this one was like a desk size one that
coffee
I have.
table
Yeah.
size.
See, this
Yeah.
is in my skate deck show. It was so clever. And then he took a skateboard and he cut it. You know what? Because the top of a skateboard is round.
Yeah.
He made it plata. With it was 3-dimensional. It was awesome.
Yeah.
that was fun.
So.
He put it upside down on a shelf and had it cut out like drips were coming
And
down.
that's something we had looked at too, is decks, is printing.
Yeah,
art. It was a
we had-
hard thing that we were having a hard time with.
Yeah, didn't we see
We
some?
saw a skateboard deck sort of process, one of probably potentially, several, but it's intensive, labor intensive for sure.
Yeah,
So while it is, kind of high end, I don't know where price point wise it would be.
What's tricky about-
one-offs.
I have a lot of experience with skate decks. So so companies can offer full color print on the whole deck, right,
Mhm.
side to side. But what they're doing is a full color sticker,
Right.
and they're putting
Yeah,
the vinyl
that's
That's
sticker on
essentially
it.
what we did.
Yeah,
So
that's what you-
it's like a wrap,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like a wrap
And
in a
you get a
car.
file and you do the
Right.
file on the sides, and it looks
Yeah.
good, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're watching, let us know if that's
Now,
something
You
y'all
can
would
do
like,
direct
your art and
printing
skate decks.
onto, if you have a deck, and if it's painted white, you can do the full color process print on it. The only thing is, the decks come and then they come.
Yeah, they're concave, and
Mhm.
So
you have to build a jig
you-
to be able to print that.
Yeah, so your image area is in the center of the board.
Mm.
I have not seen yet the process where you could do full color direct on.
you'd have to
You'd have to have certain.
You'd have
jig-
to have a board that starts off flat and then have to go in
Right,
and
that's not gonna happen.
and apply however it's done to create that bend. I don't
It'll
know
look
that
more
that's,
because I've watched the manufacturing on skateboard manufacturing.
Yeah.
And it's actually a machine that comes down with heat and
Presses and
And
then
it presses.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
you-
gonna.
that's a
destroy
whole
it.
another type of
Well-
and I don't even know how well the art would survive that kind of heat and pressure.
Mhm.
Right. And then, most art, 99% of art boards, what's print, it's man cave stuff. The kids aren't actually writing them. They're,
Mhm.
because they're not gonna pay $200-300 for a skate deck.
And this is a problem that I think we saw with, the original process we talked about with the vinyl sticker basically is that we saw some good ones out there, but I could tell at least, that you could tell that
Yeah.
they were vinyl that was,
there's a
placed on there.
plastic sort
Maybe
of.
if it was more of a matte. The thing of it is, they always use the shiny vinyl.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so this.
and well, they also tend to laminate it too, to give it that extra
protect them.
protection. Even though they're probably using solvent inks or UV inks, that lamination just adds an extra barrier
Mhm.
protection. And but you can, in the case of some of the ones we saw, I don't think the cuts were that good. They looked like they had been placed on there, molded on there, with heat and stuff, like a heat gun.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, they probably use
and,
it.
and then they
Yeah.
took an X-Acto knife.
No, the secret is if you ever go to an old school skate shop and watch how they apply the
Grip tape.
grip tape,
Mhm.
is they use a real fine file,
Mhm.
and you just go like this on the sides.
Yeah, I don't think they did that, but
No.
No.
even if they had, I'm
Slow
thinking
trick.
more of the labor,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it is.
time, and
It is.
Keep costs down so that
yeah,
it's affordable.
that is something I think with when we diversify art and stuff. There's some things that you're going to get, like you said, better markup on, like the prints, and then there's some things that they're awesome to offer. The novelty of it is awesome. Like when we looked at the blankets, when we did like the Japanese, it's a soft, beautiful blanket, but I mean, if you try to do 2 times, that would have been like $100 blanket or something. If it's $50, so on something like that, you would not make your markup as big. You might maybe make $5 off of those.
Pillows are really big.
Yeah,
yeah.
pillows are really
We're
big.
seeing that. We
Your
see
your
that.
profit margin's higher on selling pillows than t-shirts. And what's great about pillows is that it's one size.
Yeah,
The shirts are.
everybody has
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yes,
No,
he and I go around for
Yeah,
sizes.
we have the throw pillows.
You already offer that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We are going to experiment with this process on the pillows as well. So
There you go.
I
That
think
would be
that because one of the things is with the pillows is those tend to be polyester or especially treated.
Right, and we really prefer canvas or canvas cotton, more organic.
Yeah, and
The satin, it just
Yes.
and dye subbing to that is it just doesn't do well, and then there's not a whole lot of good direct to print methods. There are some as far as what equipment we have. There's some materials out there, but still there's that whole sewing process that
Mhm.
we would have to.
well,
Yeah,
actually, you
but
could, with
this,
that
I think,
process
would
that
be-
you're doing, I'll give you some off camera
Mhm.
some manufacturing contacts where you can get a good material, this blank with the zipper, everything, and the process that you're doing would work. You're going to have to feed it in.
Yeah,
So it'd be like a pallet, like for t-shirt printing.
yeah,
But
and that's why I think that this technology for the t-shirt
would be
print might
excellent.
be a good idea.
Here's another thought from our viewers watching here. Cinnamon was saying, spontaneous thought, custom playing cards and tarot card sets. And we do have some artists that do tarot card things like that. Yeah, they print like that. So they were wondering.
Who said Loteria cards or something?
Well, David's, yeah.
Which,
Oh, I can see you do all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be a good product.
and my wife's family is very popular, so I'll say this. So.
But card sets, is that, I know I've bought one set that was, and I mean, I'm not a big tarot card thing, but I
So
like the rock thing, and pictures were beautiful,
Here-
siding was beautiful.
here's the deal with the cards, and I have been thinking about the cards. Is there's different processes with the cards. I mean, we could take a PDF with all 52, 54 cards.
Game mode.
Yeah, and then print out each one and then feed it to our card cutter and cut out each one.
Mhm.
But I don't know if that's the best solution because they look like basically laser printed cards,
Mhm.
right? Okay. And then there's a whole issue of having a nice box. So it's
It's something
something.
expensive.
Yeah,
They are
it's-
expensive. The one I bought was like $50 for the set, and that was on sale.
Yeah, and I think we looked at those with
I'll have
someone
to bring them in. I'll bring them in and show you.
recommended a site where that they had tested. So it's not totally out of the picture. I just haven't found a
Good
It'd
process.
It'd be good for
feel-
prototypes to show your investor of what you want.
yeah. And I think usually when you think of cards, you think of something that's also going to be die cut because they tend to have rounded edges
Mhm.
like this does. Now, it's possible we do them, and I don't know yet because I don't know how long it takes to cut out that many cards and so
Yeah.
forth, but it's possible utilizing a flatbed cutting system to print on using a UV flatbed printer like what we have to print all 52 cards and then cut out all 52 cards off of like a card stock.
Are they
So-
sold like that, Louis? Like just the
I-
cardstock
but
of cards to print on?
That's really kind of, that's
Um,
another way of producing them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best way.
Right. So the card sets definitely that I remember I gave you that website of that company.
Okay. it
A
was-
friend of mine in Austin had a contact
That's
there.
right. Okay.
So we were looking at it, but there's a couple kind of manufacturing companies I follow on Instagram that we know about that do foil and embossing and all that custom
Mhm.
packaging. So card sets, you can definitely do them in various ways. There is technically like a actual plain card paper
Mm-hmm.
that you can get. A lot of people are familiar with. Again, they've got this sort of coating on them.
Mhm.
They feel they're kind of slick. They're
Mhm.
easy to
Well,
they
for
fold,
shuffling
But
and
they,
stuff.
yeah, for shuffling, they have a good life. No matter what. So we could get there. The custom box. It's nice to see that we're all talking about packaging and presentation because with the trends of the whole like kind of reveal experience of when you get something in the mail or delivered to you and they open the box and it's like it's really beautiful, as James was saying, some of these Apple products and whatnot. That's exactly what these boxes and packaging for these artworks are showing. The card sets for sure. There is a machine that we've been talking about that, believe me, there's a lot of these ideas I've talked to James
Yeah.
about. It's just they've got so many things going on here at FinerWorks to potentially offer that it's like, hey, like,
Take a number.
yeah, take your numbers. Okay,
Yeah.
this is,
Don't do
literally
it all,
like,
man.
And
it's
then
like
we
scheduled
will.
programming
Yeah.
on what we're going to do because they
We're-
want to R&D
Space.
the offering to make sure that it's a quality product. And that's one of the things that I love about y'all's company is that y'all really want to produce something that's excellent to represent their customers.
Yeah.
Well, we
Well,
are-
you got one question
also
coming in,
we're-
and it's
yeah,
almost the last few minutes.
we have
Magnets.
the ability to produce those.
Yeah.
Right.
But because we can only fit in so much equipment and we'll talk about magnets because I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
because I
somebody
totally
did.
forgot about magnets.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
too.
So we
But-
want
Yeah.
to.
But anyway, yeah,
Shameless
one
right
of
there.
our biggest challenges is getting the equipment, finding the space for the equipment.
Yes. We've
I
we've
mean,
grown, but
Yeah, I mean,
We need
finding
more
the
space.
space for the employees is hard enough.
and parking.
Yeah, parking yeah, we don't have a whole lot of walking customers, but man, this place is packed full of people.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it's really some of it's just challenges associated with having the equipment, bringing the equipment in, utilize, do we have the space for it?
Mhm.
We need like another flatbed printer. Okay, it's just I don't know where we're going to put it yet, but we need it.
No, but
Yeah.
I have
But
a question coming in that I really wanted and I kind of forgot about. Can we go back to so you're going to be very diverse with other products. That's awesome. I would like to go back to basically how you started your business to one up I'd like to discuss for a second the actual art prints that you do. Okay. There's technology out there, and you probably saw it at the trade show, where when you're doing your printing, that you can actually have different spots in your file, not to raise it with the acrylic, but to do metallics.
oh, like gold leaf looking.
They have that. Yeah, I have a friend that actually
I have a lot of
got
people
some
ask about
prints
gold
made like that. I believe San
yeah,
Francisco or something. But
yeah. So
they have it in the printer where you can actually replace one of the with a metallic.
So there's a couple options out there that are available to us immediately that are relatively immediately, but those involve utilizing metallic inks. Now, one of our printers does have the capability to print metallic
Really?
inks.
Hmm.
However, okay, they're not the best metallics. Okay, so we steered away from that. It's with the Epson Eco Solvent printer, one of the big giant 64-inch printers. We can add a clear card, or we can add a white cartridge as well as a
Really? Can I have white?
yeah, okay, as well as a metallic. Problem with those is the thickness of those inks. They're or at least I know with the white, they're very thick. So if you don't use up those inks and you don't utilize a lot of them, yeah, so it can create a lot of problems. So they're really not ideally suited unless you're going through a lot of white. Okay, I'm not sure with the metallic, but I've heard mixed reviews on it. I think some of it has to do with file prep, because prepping a file to print metallic is not quite the same as prepping a file to print, the colors of a photo or
Yeah, it's almost like a silk screen.
You got to get it
overlay.
right in shape.
So,
We look at those dye bonds. We have a user that does a lot of these metallic looking signs with topography as anniversary gifts and so forth. Very artistic signs. And so she uses certain colors, okay, to achieve that bronze. Now, if you look at that file, it doesn't look anything like bronze, and you wouldn't think it would output it as
right, but
bronze.
because it's
But
she's
she
working
applies
with the
a
metal.
metallic-y
But she has
stuff.
to find the right shade of tone to make sure she's able to take advantage of that.
Now we are at
So-
8 o'clock, so I wanted to let you hit
Look,
magnet.
magnets. Okay, so anyway,
Sure.
yeah, it's
Oh, it's okay. We'll
yeah,
we'll probably keep talking after this.
Yeah. But magnets. So that is something Lewis and I looked at. Is we talked to one of his suppliers for magnet material. Okay, and so it's essentially it's almost ready to be offered. We just don't have the cutting equipment in yet, but that's coming in December.
Like a little refrigerator magnet.
Yeah,
Yeah, all kinds.
And it's
Yeah.
all, the whole
It-
product is magnetic on the back. Right?
yeah, it's basically going to be the same kind of fall within the same category and ordering process of our custom contour cut stickers, where you can do custom contour cut magnets as well. There's actually a process which we have on our website that discusses how to format your file if you want that custom contour. Otherwise, our one of our staff artists and printers will actually do create the contour vector and so forth for the cut path, just like they do with stickers. They'll do that with the magnets. So
could you have a die? Like if you offered 2 standard sizes.
Well, we're going to offer all custom sizes.
Oh,
So
I was just thinking.
so it will be printing on the sheets of magnets, and then taking it to the flatbed cutter. The cutter will then cut them all out.
Oh, mechanically.
So
that's something
yeah.
that's coming too then?
Yeah, we haven't decided yet. I guess I got to get with you and determine which, because we got a swatch booklet, and there was thicknesses from as thick as like cardstock, thin cardstock, all the way to very thick
Yeah,
magnet
I mean, and
material.
also
Yeah.
too the
You sell
string.
some of those too for
Yeah.
your
That's what they
friends.
use on the
Strings
like
on
the
it.
sides of vans and stuff. It's thicker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of this stuff was made for that kind of, yeah, but it's perfect for small runs of magnets that you could sell at your next art show or in your,
Thank
your
you,
store.
Plastic Citizen, for
So,
joining
Have
us
you
then.
done refrigerator magnets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to let us get ready to wrap this up a little bit. I want to thank everybody for coming. Robert, Dave, Lewis. I mean, you guys, Angela back there too, because she's been like our behind the scenes help here.
Cheerleader.
But everybody I probably know on a personal level here and has turned out to help, and I appreciate that. I wanted to make sure that we had something good for our customers who are artists and photographers, that this hopefully kind of was a great brainstorm too for you guys to think of other ways to diversify your art and present it here, and order prints and anything that we've talked about or anything that you hope to see. Send us an email at customercare@finerworks.com. let us know. We'll go ahead and
And where can they see some of their artwork?
yeah, Roberts, you can go to our choicegoodsbrand.com and you'll see, I believe we have the pillows, t-shirts, prints, everything on there. Or you can come to Hotbox Gallery here in San Antonio, and we're located at 642 South Presa. David has his own gallery here now, because I don't know it, memorize it. You want to give the
Republic Arts. We're actually having a closing reception on the 26th for photography show. 19th. Oh, I'm sorry, we moved that.
Mhm.
So, but we just got situated on the west side. Been a few years there, but now finally construction's we actually wrapped it up this past week. So it's
And that's called what now?
it's Republic Arts.
Republic Arts,
Yeah.
and you can
That's
put
good,
that
man.
in the.
Yeah, I'll put those all links in the
Do you have a
description.
website?
We got that's in the works. But Public Arts Studio, 1500 West College.
Yeah, and they do have an Instagram as well, so that you can follow them on Instagram. Robert's, and I have had the handles on our social. So we have Robert's at Tatum Originals, and David is at Blancas David on Instagram there. And then we have Lewis here with Clampitt, who is just like, you know,
I was
and
trying to put together where I remember you
Yeah.
from.
yes, he would come sell for the paper, for
Awesome paper
the.
guy.
Yeah.
Yes, Lewis has been the rock star on a lot of our last YouTube with him, and so you know your knowledge is always appreciated.
Yeah,
So,
thank you for the
and if
time.
there's
That's
artists that are
fun.
if there's artists that are there trying to print for themselves here locally in San Antonio, they can reach out to you.
Sure.
What's the best way for them to contact you?
They can reach us through the clampittpaper.com or clampitt.com website, or they can email me at lewisc@clampitt.com.
Right.
Yeah.
And then join us Thursday. We're going to have that at 4:00. We have Jim
I
Landers.
think it's going to be pre-recorded this time.
Well, he says he's going to go ahead and try
is
and
he?
do. Yeah,
Okay.
he's gonna be the incredible Jim
Yeah,
Landers,
call
and
him.
he's going to
Incredible Jim
teleport
Landers.
across San Antonio to get from this to another event. But yeah, so we'll be here with the incredible Jim Landers at 4:00 Central. And he's going to be talking about lenses, because we're about to hit that season for photographers where lenses and stuff are going to start going on sale. So before you really kind of do that, go ahead and check in and get some information from him on how to select those, how to use them for your photography, and ask any questions. And we look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday. Thank you to everybody who showed up on here live and put in questions and comments. We've been popping those up. So if we didn't answer them right away, we'll go ahead and do it. Julie, thank you as well. Thank y'all for that. Hopefully this was a lot of fun for you guys too. And with that, we'll end the broadcast, guys. Bye.
Thanks so much.